Actually, I wouldn't blame you. I mean, I would say that if that happened, which would be the songs that would be played?
You thought about this?
This is such dark humor.
Yeah,
I
this
love
is
it.
very
I think
interesting.
Aankhon mein base ho tum would come. Jo Haal Dil Ka would happen. Maybe, which one would you say? Which other one?
I would have thought of Jo Haal Dil Ka actually.
See?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Sonali Bendre.
Hi, I'm Shriya Pilgaonkar.
And you're watching us on
PeepingMoon.com. Hello everyone, welcome to PeepingMoon.com. I'm Rashita, Sahni. In an era where it has become so easy to make anything and everything the breaking news, I'm here with Sonali Bendre and Shriya Pilgaonkar to discuss the broken news. Hi you guys, how have you been?
Hi, thank you for having us here.
You're most welcome. Firstly, I have to start off by saying when I saw the trailer this morning, there was so many dialogues that were so relatable to me. I could just picture my editor and myself there and those dialogues being said that we need to give the audience what they want and all of that.
That's the point.
That is the point. I
point.
could really relate to the trailer. Now I'm looking forward to watching the show, of course. So as we know, the show is based on journalism and the things that go behind the news and everything. I just want your point of view about the press freedom in India. You know how we see some journalists are sometimes stopped to cover a certain news, and we see that sometimes journalists are kidnapped or killed if they go out of their way to sort of cover a certain news.
Yeah, it's a very intense and important question that you have asked. I don't think I'm absolutely completely equipped to answer the question in technical ways because I don't think I have the know-how and the knowledge for it. But if you ask me as a layperson, and because I've been inhabiting this world as a character for a little while, for anybody to be, as you said, kidnapped or not having freedom to speak is something that you cannot imagine, because that is something. Thankfully, we are of a generation where we are born, where we have that freedom. So we can't imagine not having that freedom. Having said that, I would say that society in general and world in total also is heading in. There are a lot of changes happening. There's a change that's happening while we are living through it.
Yeah.
Unprecedented times are being seen, and there's huge upheaval that's happening. We don't think of it as an upheaval because we are living through it. But I think as we go ahead and when we look back at the times that we are living in right now, it's going to be mentioned in history, because I think there are historical changes happening without us really understanding it, because it's not like, turn the page and it's, this has happened. It's not like that. But it is an unprecedented time. These are historical times. And there is a huge upheaval, and the societal order itself is changing. And I think we are in the process of it. We are nowhere near the end of it. It's not settled down. Mm-hmm. So we were settled till a certain point, and now it has begun to change. And we're in the midst of that change. Yeah. So while we are in that midst of change, there are going to be a lot of things that, people are going to take sides. Some sides are going to be right, some not right. Polarization is going to happen. But I think if you look back in history also, any time where there's immense amount of change that happens, it's always uncomfortable. Yeah. There are a lot of heartaches, in that sense, heartbreaks in this way. Things that we take for granted not being, suddenly it's not normal anymore. Yeah. And at the same point of time, there are certain things that, we as women today take for granted, which for my grandmother and for my mother were unheard of. Yeah. So what is normal and what is correct? So there are a lot of these questions, and there are a lot of things that can be looked at. I know you might feel I'm giving a very roundabout answer, but I don't mean that. I genuinely mean that as not judging. And I think as an actor, as an artist, you look at situations in a slightly, where you remove yourself from it and see it. And that's how you look at a character, and then you play it. And so I think all of us as artists have a certain way of looking at things. And this is something that I'm noticing in the times that we are living in. I think it is a time of change. Yeah. and change is never comfortable.
Agreed completely. Shreya, what would you have to say?
I would say that sometimes, yes, we do take our freedom for granted. And, when you see everything that's happening in the world today, you truly feel so privileged that you are in a space where you can voice your mind. Having said that, today everybody is a journalist in their own way with their phones and what they say.
Yeah.
So often, sometimes in situations, I think you can't gauge the intent of people when they're covering things. You don't know what angle they want to spin, what they want to do. So often in certain sensitive spaces, maybe that is why, there is, it seems curated. I don't know, because I feel like there can't be a generic answer to this.
Okay.
But it is extremely scary to think that, journalists and reporters, well, if it comes down to their life being taken away, that's very scary. It's very, very scary.
is,
In
yeah.
fact, an angle like that has been shown in our
Oh,
show
wonderful.
as well.
Okay.
But today, I just hope that it's not just the responsibility of people giving the news, but it's also the responsibility of people receiving the news, because you have to do what it takes to verify what you're reading, no matter where that is coming from.
Correct.
Because there's just a bombardment of things that we're hearing. So our show, The Broken News, in a way, in an entertaining way, it's showing you behind the scenes of what's happening in these different channels with different people and their struggles. I mean, she's my editor-in-chief. We also have so many arguments with, ways in which we want to present our story. My character, Radha Bhargav, is of the opinion that सच तो हमें दिखाना है, but लोगों तक पहुंचने के लिए हमें एक powerful तरीके से कहानी दिखानी है. Because how else will it be appealing? Whereas Jaideep's character is a total extreme. So sometimes you can't decide who's right and who's wrong, yet at the end of it, you will understand what your personal preference will be. So I think it's going to lead people to be more introspective. Ki next time they watch any news, we want them to think and question कि ये कहाँ से आया है, क्या ये सही है, क्या ये गलत है, क्या इसे आसानी से मानना चाहिए. If the show can even do that now, we're more than happy.
Amazing. I'm sure it will change some bit of it.
Of course.
And hoping and looking forward to it. But
like you said, you're a journalist. We are actors.
Correct.
And we are not activists. We're actors. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but everybody has a way of putting their point of view and their bit. And this is our medium.
Correct.
And this is how you put various points across. And everything doesn't have to be what we are also trying to say in this show is that everything is not right and wrong. There are so many other things, and there are so many things that are involved in making the choices. There are compulsions, there are choices,
Pressures.
there's needs, and relationships sometimes pressures. So there's so many things that go behind it that eventually we are all human beings behind that camera, in the newsroom, and people who are watching, we're all human beings. We all have similar weaknesses, similar strengths, and we all need to understand that all of us are flawed.
But we want people to, when people watch this, we want them to, especially journalists, to realize and to sort of see truly the power they have.
Yeah.
Including you, to present. I mean, here we are sharing our story. How you put it out there is not in our control.
Of course.
But to really sort of that voice, that gap between, people who want to hear information and, people who are part of that information is sort of bridged by this profession, which is noble, but also has its evils just because of the power it holds.
Yeah, just adding on to that now, I'm very lucky to belong to an organization where they give me the creative liberty. Now, I can get this interview edited however I want. If I don't want it to become very sensational or that typical milk masala, I have that part. But unfortunately, not every journalist has. We have TRP hungry bosses still in the industry very much.
That doesn't make that journalist wrong.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to
put.
It's
their compulsion.
Exactly.
This is her character, by the way.
Yeah. It's just to understand that we're all flawed. And we're all amazing. I mean, I just said it earlier also, like I have immense faith in humanity, I always say. And I do believe that as human beings, we will do the right thing. It'll probably take longer or whatever. There is also so many of us, but we will get there. I do have that faith in it. And this is all part of that journey. It's part of the change which is happening. While we live, we are living through a historical change.
And while you said that, I like when I, if I actually was, say, a journalist, and if there was a story I wanted to cover, I know that it's not as easy as me just
wanting to cover it,
shooting it and covering it and putting it out there. I have to find a peg for people to want to watch it. Now, there's a line though. I won't cross a line, but I'll have to present it to you in a way wherein I want you to at least वहाँ तक आपको पहुँचाना है ना मुझे.
At the same time, being ethical.
Absolutely.
Because you can't fight with your inner, ideologies that you have. If you are someone who wants to be ethical, you can't go away from that and present a story in a certain manner just because you need to.
Right. So these challenges, you see characters like Amina, Radha, are other people in the organization, in Jaideep's world, in Josh 24/7, which is why I think लोगों को बहुत interesting लगेगा ये. Not just people in this profession, but even the audience, the viewers,
Agreed. Talking about Amina, how I see her as is a very strong and independent woman who wants the truth to be told and based on facts. That is how we see in the trailer. We don't know if there's a twist in the show.
No, definitely. That is Amina.
That is,
but I would say that as you grow, and it happens to all of us, as you grow older, there's when you're in your teens and then in your 20s, even till your 30s, there's a certain amount of idealism and that you stick to. And then as you grow older, there is a loss of innocence, I would say. There is a growing up where you realize that sometimes just pure idealism can also be harmful to somebody else. And that is, Amina is at that stage where she realizes that it's not just about idealism and the truth, but sometimes this, which is for her, this is the right way, can be the wrong way for somebody else because it's probably going to take away somebody's job or something else. So for her, this, even though she's at this stage in her career, there's a certain growing up that she's going through because she's dealing with those situations. There's a certain growing up that Radha is going through and, through this show. And that, I think, is the beauty of the show, that we are all evolving.
Yeah.
And you'll see the growth in all the characters by the end of the season. So,
okay. Perfect. And talking about Radha, there's this very nice dialogue. She says that sometimes to do the right thing, you have to work with the wrong people. Yeah. Now, has that situation ever happened to you in real life where you have taken up a project but felt that the project is correct but the people might not be right?
Well, I don't think you know whether the people are right or wrong beforehand many a times. You just discover it later.
Yeah.
Many a times. But yes, sometimes to get to where do you want to go, there are certain steps you might have to take in terms of where every element won't be perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes money has not been good, but the part is good. Or sometimes the part is okay, but the project is big. So those compromises in that way, I guess every actor ends up making when they're starting off. But in terms of in this field for Radha is still hopeful.
Correct.
When she doesn't understand the extent of what she's about to get into, which she'll realize when she, as the show progresses. But as Shriya, मुझे ऐसे कभी experience नहीं आया है जहाँ पे बिल्कुल ही मतलब मुझे पता है गलत लोग हैं और मैं उनके साथ काम कर रही हूँ. वैसा thankfully I've never been able to sort of find myself in a situation like that. Yeah.
Okay. Sonali, talking about 2018 when the news of your illness broke, I remember I was just 1 month into the industry. I was very new and I was being told things like, be prepared, anything can happen. And I was mentally and emotionally feeling so drained out. I was like, what are we doing? What is this? I don't want to do this because, if you are being told that be near your laptops, even if you're going out, carry your laptop because anything can happen. Those things are really hard to digest. How are you dealing with all of that with so much grace, with so much respect? You made sure to inform everyone and then you took your, break to recover. How was that journey for you?
Well, I was hopeful that I would recover, and in I mean, I've spoken so much about that period of my life that I'm sure the viewers kind of know and have followed that journey. So I won't bore them with too many details of it. But I would say that, actually, I wouldn't blame you. I mean, I would say that if that happened, which would be the songs that would be played?
You thought about this?
This is such dark humor. I love it. I think
interesting.
Aankhon mein base ho tum would come. Jo Haal Dil Ka would happen. Maybe, which one would you say? Which other one?
I would have thought of Jo Haal Dil Ka actually.
See?
Yeah.
See?
But what a bizarre thing for you to think of, you're true. But only that person, but what you're saying, dark humor, is what happens to the person, because humor is what you need to survive.
Yeah.
You have to laugh through life. I mean, things happen. So yes, that what you're saying, I understand what you're saying. But you know what? I would say, look at it from the point of view. I would look at it from the point of view that, well, so many people do care that they wanted to know what was happening to me, that they were being told stay next to your laptops.
Yeah.
So it depends. I think that would be my takeaway from it, and I would say, wow, that's nice. I mean, from where I come from, absolutely not connected to anything, and did not even realize I got into this field accidentally to actually reach a stage, have a name where people in media or anywhere actually care what happens to you. I think not bad, yeah.
When
It
people
has
you
been a
don't
good
even
life.
when people you don't even know are praying for you,
Exactly.
what more can you
Of
ask
course,
for?
we are
It's been a
being
great
affected
life.
by
Absolutely.
these updates. Definitely,
Absolutely.
it is.
It's been a great life. So I think it's just the way you look at it, and it's really not so. Oh my God, I blame somebody, because I think everybody's doing their jobs to a certain degree, and yeah, I mean, let's enjoy what is there.
Agreed. And also talking about this paparazzi culture that has suddenly, so much blown out. Earlier, paparazzi meant taking photos of actors or of popular faces when they're doing something, they're shooting, maybe leaking their looks. But right now it has become they are following their cars and everything and literally entering the restaurants, and all of that's happening.
Can I correct you on
yeah.
that? It also meant bribing their house help, bribing their drivers or people around.
Yeah.
So it was in a different way. It's just that cameras were bulky, so you couldn't hide them. And so it was, but things were very much in a different way. That culture was always there.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that technology has changed the way it has become.
Correct.
The phones have come, everybody is a paparazzi now.
Yeah.
You're walking from here out there right now, 4 people would be taking the picture. So, again, like I said, that, I'm not taking up for anybody or taking out from the earlier question to this I'm coming to, that it has always been there. It's now become far more easier, far more this thing. Same thing with the broken news. When we show you the story that we are telling you, it's an adaptation of a BBC original, which was called
Press,
which was
yeah.
which was called Press, which was based on newspapers. And it's been adapted to today's times and news channels. And so you see, the problems are similar, and it was always there. It's not who are you going for or what are you going against or who is it based on. It's based on a thought process.
Yeah.
And how is this your thought process or is it not? Are you going to look at it this way or are you not looking at it this way? And excesses has become a part of the society. We are at that point. And like I said, when we talk about the change, the excessiveness is part of the society. And that's where we need to see that where, as viewers, as society, where do we find the balance? Or just understanding the fact that, hey, we need to find a balance. Yeah. If we need to survive this change, we need to find a balance.
Correct.
With respect to the
Correct.
paparazzi thing, I want to say 90% of the times, with respect to actors, it's the actors' teams.
That is what I was going. The tip off. The message starts with tip off. Yeah.
Everybody knows this, and if people don't know it, well, they should know that mainly actors. When we have shows coming out, our teams invite the paps to where we are. That's fine. Now, people who do it all the time, it is their choice. They want to do it. There's no judgment in it. They want to do it. And that's, people like to see those videos, I guess. So, I think it's a very person-to-person decision to set boundaries, but it's always two ways. So, I don't think we can blame any one person in this. And people seem to like it, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. But after being a part of the broken news, has your perception towards the media and the industry overall changed or moved to something else? Because I'm sure as actors, as public figures, media has been a very, permanent sort of part of your lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think while understanding and knowing that there are these pressures or not the pressures or whatever, I think for me doing this series has helped me see the human face of media. And sometimes we forget, we look at the screen, we look at the newspaper, we look at the, what do you call it, byline?
Byline.
Yeah.
Byline.
And we forget that that's a human being.
Yeah.
And that for me has been, it just brought that up to me.
Amazing.
And also that one can make mistakes.
Correct.
And of course, you have to learn from those mistakes and own up to those mistakes. But I mean, to err is human, and it's possible to do that. And at the same time, it also somewhere breaks my heart to think that people who actually want to tell certain kind of stories, they have to go through such hierarchy to be able to do that. It is such a process.
I know,
it's very easy to bring out something, that's delicious.
Yeah.
So I realized that more strongly, with a stronger sense of awareness, when we started.
Been there, done that, definitely. But thank you so much for joining in. It was a wonderful conversation. I'm sure the broken news is even better, and looking forward to watching it.
Thank
Thank you so much. And we are looking forward to the feedback.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.